Well, hello everyone in Torquay today, and welcome to the Swinging Christies Live, the podcast about Agatha Christie in the swinging 60s. I'm Mark Aldridge. I'm an author and historian, and I've written about Agatha Christie a few times. My books are available at the stall today. If you are one of the few people I haven't cornered and made buy one at some point, then please do think of picking one up today. And I am, of course, here with...
I'm Gray Robert Brown, and today we are live! Yeah! Thank you. For the second time, only the second time ever, we are live. How exciting.
Yes.
How are you?
Oh, very good. Yeah, what a lovely sunny day.
I know,
Been
well,
outside.
yeah, we
Yes,
did get
it
rained
did
on
then
very
start to
briefly
rain,
during lunch.
but it's Torquay. We love it. We accept the changeable climate that is Torquay.
It's true.
That's what we embrace whilst
It's
we're
true.
here. But we've got a very exciting topic
We do.
to discuss
Today. It's the Confessions of Agatha Christie. Oh, I know. What could they possibly be? What could it possibly mean?
Yes, well...
Well, you're thinking, what? We'll tell you, I guess.
Yes, don't worry. We are going to get to that
Here we
point.
go.
So the confessions we're going to talk about today are confessions that Agatha Christie wrote for a book, which I'm sure you all have on your shelves, Michael Parkinson's Confession album from 1973. I don't know, it's always been essential reading for me.
Have.
So this book, apparently edited by Michael Parkinson at the height of his fame as obviously an interviewer on television, features confessions from many well-known celebrities. I won't read out all of the names, because a couple have been cancelled, but the ones that I can read out...
In particular, those watching or live, there's a post-it
I
note
have
over
blanked out a name on the
that we do
cover.
not speak of anymore.
Yes.
Come up and ask afterwards who it is. No, don't. It's not
And
good.
it's a terrifying confession. But we've got, in alphabetical order, obviously Agatha Christie we'll come to, but Spike Milligan, Morecambe and Wise, David Niven, Vincent Price, Mary Quant, Harold Wilson, John Lennon is in this as well, Lauren Bacall, Frankie Howard, Kenneth Moore, Patrick Moore, lots and lots of people. So this is a really nice selection of basically celebs answering questions about their favourite things. Now, Agatha's got a history here. So Agatha Christie, the book actually opens, forgive me while I try and do more than one thing at once, which is never that easy for me, but it actually opens with a discussion of the response of Agatha Christie to this call. It says, "The idea for this book is not a new one. Dame Agatha Christie wrote to me thus, 'Filling up your confessional brought back to me very strong memories of my early Victorian youth. I well remember all our family and friends filling up various confessional albums belonging to my grandmother, great aunt, and so on. Everyone enjoyed it immensely.'" Oh, very much. So, this is something that Agatha Christie did several times throughout her life. There are her own private ones in her books. Now, these are really interesting too. We can't cover everything today, so we're concentrating on the ones in here today. But those of you who listen to our podcast, which I hope is everybody in this room, and all your friends and families and anyone else, we will be covering those others in another podcast episode later in the year. So.
And we should say, I mean, so you said 73, is it?
Yeah,
It's
1973.
published? So obviously our main remit on the Swinging Christies is looking at Agatha Christie in the 1960s, which both a very fascinating decade, but also in particular a decade that she dominated, she conquered. She was fantastic throughout and wrote persistently and beautifully throughout. And this coming just at the end of that, or just after that period, is the closest we can get to sort of where her head's at through that decade. So yeah, we're going to look in a bit more detail now. Some of the most exciting confessions, or most telling, and just to kind of get to know Agatha a bit better.
Yeah.
So first up, my ideal virtue is courage.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yes. What do we think courage means in this context?
I mean, she was a brave person, right?
Was a brave person?
She went through a lot, and and we were saying earlier, we were talking about sort of examples of bravery in her books, and we think, it is fair to say that sort of characters taking a hold of themselves and taking their fates into their own hands is very much a common theme, right?
Yes, and I said to you, my instinctive response was how often the courage to do what's right is so important in Agatha Christie. Not the easy solution, which very often would be covering up things, not actually telling the truth because it's an uncomfortable truth, hiding murders. These are things that actually people like Poirot and Miss Marple are going to come onto the scene and say, actually, it would be easy to say, oh, but that poor maid or that whoever sympathetic person, I feel sorry for them, but we have to have the courage to say that if it's wrong, then it's wrong. And so I think that we often get that, even in things like Five Little Pigs, a little bit before us.
Just thinking about
but that
Pigs.
courage to say it doesn't matter whether you're going to say, well, actually, my mother was a murderer after all, but to say, I just want the truth. And I think
we all have that
courage,
moment, don't we? Where we have to face up to the idea that our mothers might be murderers.
So that'll be our big finale. Actually, our last episode, Gray is going to bring out his folder of evidence and say, "I've known for years."
You don't want to know. Absolutely. But also the courage to seek the truth. I'm thinking Five Little Pigs again. The courage to seek the truth, even if it's not what everyone wants to hear.
Absolutely.
And before anyone starts, Five Little Pigs was
slightly on the defensive.
I was just thinking, we're talking about Five Little Pigs. It's not even slightly 60s. But of course, Go Back for Murder, the play version of Five Little Pigs, which is brilliant if you haven't read it. I'd love to see that.
It does sometimes turn up on the tour.
Yeah. But that's really interesting because that takes Poirot out, and you flash back, don't you, through. So you actually get to see kind of live on stage rather than have the reminiscences kind of drawn out through interviews, which is how Five Little Books, the book goes.
And having the daughter and her lawyer being actually our main detectives, which again is a bit different to saying, Poirot, you can sort it out and just let me know, to actually being proactive.
Yeah. No, definitely. Okay, my idea of beauty in art was, and she answered, Bruegel's tower paintings. This is an example of Bruegel's tower paintings. I'm sure you've seen them before. Utterly beautiful. If you're just listening to this, you'll have to imagine what Bruegel's tower paintings look like. But if you're watching it online or in the room, then you're fine. This is fascinating, isn't it?
There's something slightly Middle Eastern about this as well, I think.
Yes,
there's something North African, Middle Eastern about this in terms of its imagery.
I think
which
that's
we
true.
love the Middle East.
I was saying to you earlier, I think one of the things that we like to dispel on the podcast a lot is this idea that Christie was somehow kind of quite linear, quite black and white, or quite sort of down the line. And there's something very surrealist and expressive about her taste in art, which I think actually opens the door for us to see her writing as much more experimental and interesting than maybe she's always been seen. But also, as we were talking about earlier, this is a depiction of the Tower of Babel from Genesis, and we know that Christian was a very devout Christian. In fact, in the 60s, she publishes Star Over Bethlehem, religious collection.
Who's read Star Over Bethlehem out of interest in this room? Yes, see, you all think you're big fans, and then we come and say, you're missing one of the books. It's a collection of religious and sometimes Christmas-themed stories, but they've got sort of a more, and then with some poetry in it as well. It's really well worth listening to. Some of them are really, really not what you expect Agatha Christie to do. One of my favorites being, there's a whole story about someone who lives on the edge of sort of a nuclear power plant, and they start to get mutations at the bottom of their garden. And one's set in like the year 2000 as well. So there's really interesting
The
stuff
Water
in
Bus
there.
is good as
The
well.
Water
Yeah,
Bus.
we like most of the stories.
We
do, don't we? And we talk about them on the podcast a lot, so check that out if you haven't already. But in the climate change episode in particular, we spoke about that. You can't get more impact on the climate than nuclear spills and mutations.
Mutants, the Bollywood.
Anyway, my favourite study, archaeology and fresh aspects of history.
We could just say Max there, couldn't we?
I
love Max, that says. But I mean, I'm sure everybody knows, but her second husband, Max Mallowan, archaeologist, and they met on an archaeological dig. But that interest is already there. It's not like that was a
it
random.
predates Max slightly, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. And there's a reason why you meet someone in an archaeological dig. It's because you're both interested in archaeology, right? It's like if you meet the love of your life here, then it's likely you both like Agatha Christie. It's just sort of how it all works out.
How nice that would be. I hope that happens. That happens.
It's like blind date. We'll be silly. We'll come to the wedding. We'll buy new hats.
Will be Scylla. Yeah, well, and also, fresh aspects of history struck me as well, because I do think there's a book in the 60s that we talk on the podcast a lot about called Agatha Christie, Mistress of Mystery, which was by a guy called G.C. Ramsay. And that was one of the first books to kind of really take Agatha's writing seriously, which is a legacy that we carry on to this day. You know, all of us do by being here, by taking her seriously and reading her and loving her as we do. But one of the things he says in that is he talks about mystery writers as social historians. And she is. She depicts this changing world throughout her career, including in the 60s, but not exclusively. And is a chronicler of history.
She was reading history books all the way up to this period and presumably beyond. I know that in the notes for Passenger to Frankfurt, there are quite a few references to books that she's read about things that have been uncovered in Germany, I seem to recall, that she felt really inspired by in the writing of that, which is 1970, that book. But she seems to keep reading it after that point as well. So fresh aspects is, I think, really telling. It's not the old histories. She wants new information. It's like us. We always wanted new information. That's us.
Oh, yes.
Very much so.
Oh, yes. Favorite color, green. Now, I mean, I don't know if we've spoken about this, actually. I have a running joke with my boyfriend and my friend Tierney that I invented the color green. And it really annoys them. There's nothing that annoys them more than telling them, like, completely po-faced, like, no, I invented the color green. No one used to like green until I remember saying I like green. And then it turns out Agatha got there first.
Yes. So often the case.
But you had a story about green and Agatha.
I did. So both of us worked on the BBC Maestro project from a few months ago, last year. Which was an educational project by Agatha Christie teaching you about writing a mystery novel, how she wrote her mystery novels. And it was a big project, loads of people involved. And I had loads of meetings about it, about all sorts of things. And we were getting really close to the end. We were about 6 weeks from it all going live. And they said, can we have a quick meeting? Because there's just some stuff that we think you might know, but don't worry if you don't, because they're really weird questions. And so they said to me...
And of course, what they didn't realize is you know everything there is to know about Agatha. So of course you knew the answer.
Also the great thing is if I don't know, damn am I going to find out.
Oh,
That's the other thing. I'm not going to be satisfied in not knowing. But they said, this is going to sound a bit weird, but we're writing the booklet that goes alongside it. And do you know if Agatha Christie had like a favourite colour? I mean, I'm sure she'd never say what her favourite colour was. Or like favourite flowers or anything. And I went, wait. And I went straight to my bookshelf and said, I literally have something where she outlines her favourite everything. So yes, I could say yes, green was her favourite colour. And Lily of the Valley was her favourite flower. So we managed to integrate them into the booklet. And she also says about a bank of primroses, I think, there you go, a bank of primroses in spring. So we managed to integrate them into it. We were talking all the way through about how we could include things that she liked. I remember emailing the family archive and going, can we get any better pictures of her rings to make anything with her rings as accurate as possible? I did suggest that she should have a glass of cream, but that was vetoed. Because apparently that was a bit too silly, but I thought that might have been.
Yeah, it just goes to show the level of detail that went into that project and making it kind of authentic to who she was and what she liked. Absolutely. My favourite qualities in man, integrity and good manners.
Yeah, I think we can see that. I think we've got a bit of Poirot there, dare we say. Even if she does find him irritating quite a lot of the time.
I really just left that in the PowerPoint because I thought, well, that's proof that she would like us.
Oh, so cheesy, isn't it? Honestly.
There was a half-hearted attempt at applause and then just gave up. Just absolutely gave up.
Well, I think that you actually do get this quite a lot in her books, that actually I think the integrity thing, good manners, I mean, that comes and goes with different ages and expectations. But integrity is universal, right? And I think if you're someone who has integrity in an Agatha Christie book, you're probably going to be certainly on the side of sympathy. I mean, you might end up dead. I'm not going to rule it out. But you're definitely, if you die, it's going to be a really sympathetic death. So it will be memorable. But there's that thing. And again, we were saying earlier about, the courage to do the right thing. That very often you do get people who just lose their integrity, who just do something because they shouldn't have done it. And I don't want to spoil too much, but there is a very sympathetic character in A Pocket Full of Rye, who I'm sure many of you can think of the maid. And I won't go into all the details, but that's a really complex sort of story that she has. And I think that's the sort of thing that she understood human nature, that actually it's not always as straightforward to say, I have great integrity, because you can be swayed. She could be swayed by a handsome man. I think that was her downfall. She wanted to be loved.
Well, the comparisons just keep on coming, don't they? I like. It was really fun going through these, preparing for this episode, and reading the full version for entries like this, because I think you get such an insight into who she really was.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, all of us in this room, we're here because we're interested in Agatha Christie and we read Agatha Christie. And I think there's so much noise around her that sometimes you're at risk of just hearing her, just taking her on her own terms. So yeah, listening to trying to get to the heart of who she really was. That's something we're always really keen to think about in our work.
She takes it really seriously, which not everyone does in the book. I mean, John Lennon gives the answer of Yoko to almost everything. So my favourite thing in nature, my favourite art is all sort of Yoko. Frankie Howard takes it, who's a comedian for those of you who don't know, who takes it super seriously about, in his lovely quotes and talks about the beauty of a dawn day. And then Eric Morecambe's asked my favourite thing in nature, or the greatest beauty in nature, and he says, a naked only wise. There are ways that you might approach it. Yes. Hey, look, they shared a bed.
But also, one of the main arguments that we mount on the podcast, as listeners will know, is sort of Christie should take her place alongside pop culture icons of the 1960s, because she was a hugely influential person through that period. And in this book, she's alongside Mary Quant, basically inventor of the miniskirt, and John Lennon from the Beatles. You could not get more 60s iconic than that, even if it's 73, and by this point everyone's just
the Beatles are gone.
And
3-day week.
Their bins to be taken. But speaking of miserable things like that, my greatest misery: noise and long vehicles and crowds.
So we don't like to dwell on negatives on the podcast, but actually,
we're far too upbeat as people, aren't we?
But actually, I felt when I read this, I immediately thought, yes, I also have been on a car on the way to Greenway, because I know how often you get trapped behind a van or something on the way there and you think, oh my God. So that always makes you think, when I see that, I immediately thought, yeah, that's Agatha thinking about the drive to Greenway, being stuck behind a van on those winding country roads.
See, I think of, and it's probably because I've just reread it, but for those of you that don't know, Mark and I are also doing a new podcast about the Mary Westmapod novels, which is the six novels that Christie wrote under a different name, Mary Westmacott. And we are gearing up to record our episode on The Rose and the Yew Tree. There's a bit right at the start of that where she's coming out of Victoria Station. The main character, his name escapes me, Anne, is coming out of Victoria Station. And she's talking about all the buses and how ugly they are and how busy it is. And she's sort of having a bit of a personal moment anyway, thinking about her daughter and missing her daughter. And you can really see shadows of Agatha's, because I think she does closely identify with most, if not all, of the protagonists through the Mary Westmacott novels.
Yeah, there's lots of aspects of Agatha. We should call it aspects of Agatha. Yeah.
It's not called that. It's called Westmapod, which is infinitely better as a title. It drops on Tuesdays, not Westmapod Wednesdays, because we're stupid and we didn't think of the alliteration. But every Tuesday, check it out. No, every other Tuesday. Check it out. Giant Spread episode coming on
Tuesday.
the Tuesday coming. Not Wednesday. My greatest happiness is listening to music.
So we know how much Agatha loved music. We know she composed a waltz. We know that she trained in Paris as a singer, but also she loved to play the piano. It was funny that I was just speaking to Lucy about, I'd missed it, but Radio 3 apparently had a documentary in January about Agatha Christie and music, which is great. But we were just discussing about Agatha actually, she didn't go on Desert Island Discs, but she did do a sort of Radio Devon version of where she listed some of her favorite music. And we were just having a chat about it and saying that actually we're not quite sure whether those are necessarily her absolute favorites, because her favorites are quite sort of esoteric. Like she liked unusual stuff. She liked to go and hear unusual things. So it isn't necessarily the case that what they had available to play would always be her choice. But she absolutely loved music. That's not a surprise at all.
No, I think her taste changed as well as things, and she was open to new things. We have a story on the podcast, don't we?
We do, yes. So we know that Agatha Christie listened to the Beatles and that seemed to be more of a Paul McCartney fan, but heard Let It Be when Matthew, her grandson, was playing the Beatles one day, and apparently Agatha poked her head around the door and asked, "Is this the Beatles?" And then sat and quite enjoyed it. So that's very, very lovely to hear. But Matthew actually tells us that story on our music episode of our podcast, because I was actually... We were driving somewhere and Matthew told me that story and I was like, when we get to where we're going, can you tell me that story again? Because that's such a great story that for us sums up the whole project, which is Agatha Christie coming and listening to the Beatles.
Yeah, can't get more 60s than that.
No.
My favourite amusement, a good play. Well, she wrote several great plays. She wrote many great plays, but in particular in the decade that we look at, she wrote several good plays. She wrote there's the 3 one-act collection of plays called The Rule of Three, all very different.
Very different,
but
very good.
Equally interesting, I think.
Again, not staged often enough.
No, they really should be. I think you would struggle to get producers to... There's something about the formatting. You don't really do 2 intervals anymore.
No.
It's unfortunate that's kind of fallen out of... Say again?
You could sell more ice cream.
You could. You could. Well, and for those of us with weak bladders, 2 intervals is not unbad.
I'd be thrilled.
I know. I was looking at you meaningfully. It's an age thing. She also wrote a play called Miss Perry, which sadly never saw the stage, but we talk about that in the podcast as well, because copies of that do still exist. But that's a fascinating play. It's such a shame that was never staged at the time.
Yeah.
And even I read Fiddler's 3 or Fiddler's 5, because there are 2 versions of it, which is a play she writes around the time, or just before the time that she would have been putting these confessions together. And it's a farce, and it's maybe not what she's best, not writing what she's best known for, certainly, but it's fun. I enjoyed it.
I remember vividly that, because Fiddler's 3 for a long time was the only major Agatha Christie sort of title that I wasn't that familiar with. I'd skimmed through it at some point.
There had to be something.
Yeah.
One blind spot for you.
And it was so bizarre. I was at my local train station and there was a flyer up to say that my local Amdram group were going to stage Fiddler's 3. And I was like, what world have I slipped into? I've never seen anyone stage Fiddler's 3.
The way you say this, it sounds like the Amdram group did it for you.
Oh, I thought they had. That was my presumption.
You arrived like garlanded,
yeah.
Like a mayoral chain, like here,
No
Dr. Mark
photos,
Aldridge,
please.
Let's show you.
But it was great fun. I think if you go in expecting it to be an Agatha Christie of the mousetrap witness prosecution type, you're going to be confused, frankly.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
But then I think that's on us. I think we need to broaden our expectation of what an Agatha Christie means, because an Agatha Christie means a good piece of writing that's entertaining and has tension and interesting characters, and all of those things are present and correct in Fiddler's 3. So.
And as we're in Torquay, I'm sure that John Cleese and Connie Booth must have come and seen at some point, because it's very Kipper and the Corpse. There's a lot of hiding dead bodies and moving things around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite. My favourite residence, my own home. But it's interesting. It's slightly ambiguously worded, because at this point in her career, we know that Christie was doing a lot of reminiscing about her childhood home, Ashfield, which was just yonder, just in Torquay. There's a plaque still, if you haven't seen. The house is gone, sadly, but there's a plaque there. But of course, she didn't live there anymore. It had been knocked down by that point. At this point, she lives between Winterbrook House in Wallingford, which is near where I grew up in Oxfordshire, and Greenway, which is not far from here, not far from where you grew up. So we're marrying the two worlds.
Yes, yeah, we are. Yeah, it's funny because she talks a lot about houses in her autobiography, so we won't repeat what she says, but there's a lot of sense of like what her house was and what Max's house was. She never felt Max's house was Winterbrook, wasn't it?
Yeah, she says that, doesn't she?
She does say that explicitly.
Which doesn't mean she wasn't happy.
No.
But it's interesting. But in a way, I feel like home is a concept for her. She talks about, belonging, and it's more
all the way through. Apostle of Fate, is absolutely full of Ashfield references.
Which is not long after this is published. So yeah, I'm sure that's Ashfield. Ashfield at the top of her mind. My favourite authors, Elizabeth Bowen and Graham Greene. Upsettingly, for those of you that follow the podcast, you know that I'm obsessed with Muriel Spark. I got Mark obsessed with Muriel Spark. Agatha Christie was also obsessed with Muriel Spark. Unfortunately, she does not mention that here, but she does in other places. But she does mention Bowen and Graham Greene. Graham Greene in particular is a very similar contemporary author to Muriel Spark. And I always think of Graham Greene and Agatha's careers as kind of parallel, because so Graham Greene writes Stamboul Train about the Orient Express in the early 30s. Christie may have something to say about that a few years later, you may recall. He writes, what else? We spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about how Christie really engages with the war in Vietnam.
Yes.
And Greene wrote probably the best book that's been written about the Vietnam War, which was The Quiet American, which is great. If you haven't read it, check it out. We were talking to Joe Barlow, amazing festival organizer and Taken at the Flood expert. We were talking about Taken at the Flood earlier. Great book. Very similar to The End of the Affair by Graham Greene in many ways. I'm just adding to your reading list now. You're like, I didn't need more.
Everyone's going to come out
I didn't
with
need more recommendations. But yeah, you can see the influences of both those writers in her work, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
In a similar vein, my favourite poets, Eliot, Yeats, and Tennyson.
Yes, who we recur several times. In Tennyson, we talk about constantly because big influence on the Mirror from Side to Side, quoted extensively throughout. Famously misquoted by Dolly Bantry throughout.
Yes.
To the extent that the editors, there was a bit of a battle between the editors and Agatha, because Agatha was saying, no, Dolly is misquoting it because she wouldn't get it quite right. She would get it roughly right.
Stop correcting me.
Yes.
I did that deliberately.
Yes.
Which was a battle several times.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's just cleverer than
Everyone's
everyone.
always right, yeah.
But
I'm
glad you brought that up, actually. I was going to bring up the misquoting of it. She says, so it's The Lady of Shalott by Tennyson, and Dolly says, the doom has come upon me.
Yes.
And the quote is, the curse has come upon me, which Christie misquotes deliberately because it's the character. I was going to bring that up because I often think there are a couple of times where Christie misquotes the poetry that she invokes in her novels. I think, for me anyway, I think a lot of the time it's because she's memorized it, she's learned it and recited it over years. And it's not a misquoting so much as, poetry is remembrance, I'm getting on my soapbox. But that's what poetry's for. It's just, you're supposed to live with it and remember it and recite it. And I think she took that seriously. And I think the fact that she's not always perfect is probably a sign of the fact she's not necessarily going to the shelf and checking it, because it's more about her summoning the poetic, moment in the manuscript.
Yeah, as I found not very long ago when we recorded our working titles episode,
Oh yes.
and I was going through the list of possible titles that Agatha had written out for By the Pricking of My Thumbs, lots and lots of different titles.
Yes.
What a nightmare that was, because how on earth anyone found them at the time, because she sort of half remembered poems and then would put like a question mark next to it.
Yeah.
So trying to work out where these poems were actually from and what she'd done, that was a really long day's work, I've got to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that was me with Google, so how anyone at the time was supposed to do it.
Well,
I've
right,
absolutely
yeah.
no
Just
idea.
reading.
And some of them
that.
are really obscure as well. They weren't necessarily famous.
No, well, and that's another thing. That's another side of just how seriously she took poetry and how much she loved poetry, is that often when you have Christie titles that are made up of quotes from poems, she considers titling them, quoting other parts of the poem as the title, right?
Yeah.
Like she did with
Oh, yes.
Mirror Cracked and Pricking My Thumbs, and several.
Yeah. Well, there is,
Taken at the Flood. Julius Caesar.
yeah, exactly. There's a tide. Yes.
My favorite musical composer and instrument. We've got Elbar, we've got Sibelius, and we've got Wagner.
Wagner's particularly important in our swinging discussions because
It was interesting that she didn't write her favorite instrument, which is kind of the question. But we said surely it's piano.
Surely it's piano. If anyone here who did know Agatha, and that's not a joke because I know there are a few, could tell us if we think we're wrong in piano, do let us know. Put your hand up at the end.
I'm sure.
Or now. But Wagner we know because we already knew because she went to a special Wagner festival in Austria, didn't she?
Yes.
And I believe she went with Matthew and some of Matthew's friends as well.
Yeah.
Or they were there at the same time. And were, I think, fed up nicely by Agatha and Max. As
That's the best part of seeing.
Yeah. I mean, you go and see your
get
grand.
fed.
Yeah, you get fed. So clearly something that she always had a lot of affection for Wagner.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think, and that then forms. We wouldn't be the first people to say that then forms the spine of a book called Passengers Frankfurt, which we talk a lot about on the podcast. I'm a card-carrying Frankfologist. That means I make apologies for the perceived bad quality of Passengers Frankfurt. It's not bad. You're just not reading it properly. It's actually genius. But having an appreciation of someone like Wagner would give you a greater appreciation for Passengers Frankfurt, because so much of it, she's woven in this idea of there's a character in it who's kind of a charismatic fascist leader. But the sort of the grandiloquent Wagnerian overtones and the kind of links to, there's a lot going on in that book, and you can really see those influences, I think.
Yeah.
On a similar note, my favorite heroes in real life, none. I am not a hero worshipper. And indeed, that is one of the spines of Passenger to Frankfurt as well, is going beware. And it's not the only time she does this. The burden, the Mary Westmapod burden coming up. There's a bit of it in Rose in the Yew Tree, which we're recording tomorrow.
And there's quite a lot in the books, generally in the 60s in particular, about worries about young people, as in teenagers, young adults, being sort
idolizing.
Idolizing, but even like people like pop stars and stuff, this worry about that actually they were being seen as, that they were being idolized in the way that now we would think perhaps not that much of, so that's a phase that lots of people will go through.
Well, I think she's cautious of, beware of false prophets. It's kind of, I guess, is part of her kind of Christian morality and teaching, this idea that, you shouldn't just blindly follow sort of figureheads. And it's funny that we've talked about it quite a lot, and how, because there is that comparison made about her seeing young people looking at pop stars like the Beatles in this period that we talk about, and then looking at a character like Siegfried in Passengers Frankfurt, who's supposed to be like the reincarnation of Hitler. And it's really... you have to be really careful. I want to be clear, I'm not calling the Beatles Nazis. I want to be really, really clear about that. It's really, you start because some of the quotes that she's given, you sort of, and then you're like, And because we're fun, I don't know if you noticed, but we're obsessed with Agatha Christie, and these ideas just kind of fire into your head, and you're like, oh, that's like that bit in Passage of Frankfurt, and then you have to go, no, I'm Paul, Ringo, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. God, that's going to be a headline now, isn't it?
No.
Are we cancelled?
Oh, I'll have to sniff it out.
It was due. My favourite heroines in real life, Little Sisters of the Poor.
Oh, yes. Oh, I've got this. So I had to make a note about this because I wanted to get it right.
We do research.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be like, I think it's this. So this is from their website. Founded in 1839, the website is not that old, by San John Dugan. The Little Sisters of the Poor are an international congregation of Roman Catholic women religious serving the elderly poor in over 30 countries. The mission of the Little Sisters of the Poor is to offer the neediest elderly of every race and religion a home where they will be welcomed as Christ, cared for as family, and accompanied with dignity until God calls to them himself. So, a religious order, but very much about caring and bringing, still going. Yes. So I think that speaks a lot about her empathy, also her faith.
Yeah. As we said before, absolutely. My favourite actors and plays, Alec Guinness, Murder in the Cathedral.
I've got notes for this one too.
Murder in the Cathedral by T.S. Eliot, who we saw on the previous slide.
1935.
Favourite writers?
Yeah, poetic play. And then Alec Guinness, I had to go and double check because I felt like Alec Guinness feels like he should have been in Agatha Christie at some point. He's in Murder by Death, which is...
There's a really good book you could consult. It's called Agatha Christie on Screen. It's by this guy called Dr. Mark Aldridge. Whatever happened to him?
Oh my goodness.
I think he got cancelled.
Cancelled, yeah. I was amused though that his final film, Alec Guinness, was called Mute Witness. But alas, not. I don't think there's even a dog in
quite
it.
Dumb.
Not quite dumb. But yes, so it's just a shame. We could have seen Alec Guinness being an Agatha Christie regular, but no. Gielgud was.
He was the lead in. He's Smiley, right? Am I?
Yeah.
So and we talk a lot as well about the comparison between. You had the John le Carre phase, didn't you?
I had a John le Carre phase. I did.
He's
because
grown out of it now.
I read the first year. I've still got the rest on myself because I'd always assumed I was not a John le Carre sort of a person because I'm not that into spies and stuff. But really enjoyable.
Well, it's become a spine of the project actually because like I say, one of the things that we like to make clear is let's not just think about Christie in relation to Sayers and the sort of her golden age contemporaries. Let's think of her alongside Sylvia Plath and John Cheever and John le Carre and those writers of the 60s as well.
And importantly, John le Carre taught Matthew Agatha's grandson at Eton.
Oh yes, I forgot about that.
Always got to get that one in. Apparently a better writer than teacher, but worked out okay in the end.
Favourite names, we have Isabella, Charles and Rodney. Careful what you're saying because you offend anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Don't say...
Do we have any Isabellas in the room or Isabels?
Or Charleses?
Charleses? Who Charleses?
Really?
No Rodneys?
Interesting.
Right.
So, because I was going to say, I think the two... Isabella and Charles, I think, are still quite common names. Rodney, not so much.
Only Fools and Horses has ruined Rodney. But there are a couple of Rodneys in Agatha Christie.
There are?
You do just laugh when you see the name now, I'm afraid. But in Absent in the Spring, he's Joan's husband. And there's a Major Rodney Grierson in The Cool of the Evening from Star Over Bethlehem, which nobody here's read. But once you do pretend to be excited when Rodney pops up. Isabella. We've got in The Rose in the Yew Tree, there's an Isabella who runs away with John
she's
Gabriel.
very integral.
Very important.
I think
the object to people's affection.
Yeah, you do feel like she saves these favourite names for maybe not like good characters per se, but like very striking particular characters, like because she values the name so much. And I think Isabella is obviously so important to The Rose in the Yew Tree. You'll have to, because we've got The Rose in the Yew Tree on at the top of our heads because we're literally recording that episode of the podcast tomorrow. But and I'll say this again tomorrow, and you'll hear it again when it drops. But Isabella was the title in translation for The Rose in the Yew Tree for the Swedish version.
Oh, is it?
Such is her importance to that book.
There's an Isabel in Poston of Fate who's a girl, a young girl who'd
Which,
lived
as we
through
know,
all.
she was writing alongside
Yes.
doing these confessions.
And there's an Isabel Tripp in Don Witness who's spiritualist. And Charles, there are loads and loads and loads, but I think probably the biggest are Charles Cartwright in 3 Act Tragedy and Charles Hayward, our narrator in Crooked House.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But many, many more of that, but we've only
Justice
got
for
45 minutes.
Rodney.
Justice for Rodney.
Bring back Rodney. My friend's cat is called Rodney.
Yeah, see, that's it. Once you've moved to pet name, it's difficult to go back to human, isn't it?
But I said that earlier to Mark. I was like, my friend's cat's called Rodney, and he looked at me and he was like, yeah, but like in an ironic way. And that's like... My favorite quotation: "Life is a pure flame, and we live by an invisible sun within us." Sir Thomas Browne.
It's a lovely quote,
Isn't it?
Do you know any more about it?
Well, we're up against the clock now, so we'll just linger on how beautiful that was. Everyone say "ah." Next slide. And there is another R one. It's the final one that we wanted to pick out, and it's just to say that by this point, 1973, she's only with us for sadly a couple more years after this. She says, "My present state of mind is peaceful."
How fantastic! Who could want more than that?
Yeah, yeah, it's really lovely, and it does. I think you do see there is a certain serenity in some of the writing around this time.
Yes.
that
Well, that's
feels
why I
like
think
it's
there's
born
so
out of that.
much about her past and about nostalgia in those last books, is because she's sort of coming to terms with it and
Seeking
being satisfied with it
Yeah.
and seeing so much positivity in her life.
Yes. Oh, thanks, Agatha. I'm a bit worried now.
Yeah.
That the announcement.
You're not getting anything free.
The
I'm
announcement
afraid.
might be a little underwhelming. An actor friend recently was like, "I've got an amazing gig," and I was like, "Oh my god, you're going to be on Celebrity Traitors?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Oh my god, you've got Taskmaster." She was like, "No." And I won't tell you what she did actually book, but it's not exciting. Not as exciting as the two that I suggested. We have exciting news though.
Okay.
Would you like to reveal all?
Sure. So we're thrilled to say that February next year, HarperCollins will be publishing a book written by us
Christie's book
called
We've
The
written it.
Swinging Christies.
Yes.
How Agatha Christie
Conquered the 1960s.
conquered the 1960s.
We've only just... Thanks!
So we've just we finished writing it. We're
have
just on the
finished writing
tidying up stage. We have loads of new material in it. I think that's the big thing.
Yes.
Is we've been planning it for a long time. So I don't want you to feel shortchanged by the podcast, but as we've been going through, we have been like, we'll put that one in the book instead.
Yeah, we'll keep that
we
that
know
back
that's
as
going to be
well.
really good written down.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was going through the draft last night and thinking there is so much in here that we just didn't get time.
Yeah.
Even with our quite long episodes, we did not get time to cover everything we wanted, and we did rafts of new research. And we should say, so the book, the idea is you get to live a decade with Agatha Christie. So you get to know her through the 1960s, and not just any decade, but this fascinating decade. That's the idea behind it. So we're really proud of it. And like with today's presentation, with today's episode, what we really want to do is sort of take her on her own terms and get a bit more insight from her, get a bit more glimpses of her. But yeah, it's super exciting. You can pre-order now.
I was just saying, and you
to
can
pre-order now.
from
That's what we're meant to
independent
say.
booksellers. Maybe not today; they might be a bit busy. Yes, available
Yes,
to
pre-order everywhere, please.
Yes, it
Pre-order
really helps,
Amanda.
by the way, pre-ordering, because it makes it look like we're more popular, and then they print more books, and
do you
then
mean
they
look
might
like?
spend a bit more on publicity, which is all
Yes,
good for
please
all of
do.
us.
But yeah, we're super excited. February
Yeah,
next year.
really, really, really proud of it.
We've got loads more episodes of the Swinging Christies if you want to check out. Here are some of the themes that we've covered. And we've used it as an excuse to go on holiday a few times as well. So there are location episodes such as the New York. You can subscribe to us everywhere if you aren't already. And you can also subscribe to, and please also do subscribe to Westmapod, which drops every other Tuesday. Thank you.
Oh, that wasn't the thing I thought people were going to learn from today.
They'll remember it now, won't they?
Yes,
That's
they
the
will.
thing. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep swinging.
Keep swinging. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
been watching. Ray Robert Brown. And Mark Aldridge. Thanks.
Swinging Christies.